We move into the 2017 Hall of Fame presentations. We're doing pretty good on time, so I want to first ask Patrick Gibson to come up here for a moment. And as the chairman of the U.S. Backgammon Federation Hall of Fame Committee, Patrick was responsible for the ballot and the vote that bring us here tonight. And he'll perhaps give us a few words over how that process works and what gives us these inductees tonight. Patrick.
Thank you. The process works because we had some great team to put it together to make it happen. There were 5 members of the Hall of Fame committee, and we started a year ago. This is our second year now of doing it this way, where you, the backgammon community, get to submit candidates for consideration to the Backgammon Hall of Fame. And we take those nominating forms and we discuss them among us, and we look at the write-ups you put in there. We kind of vet the people who have been submitted, and it's not an easy task. All of us on the 5 Hall of Fame committee, and that is Joe Russell, Doug Mayfield, Dennis Culpepper was with us. Now it's Neil Kazaros and Jeremy Bagay. Thank you, and myself. Anyway, we process those. We strip out the who submitted what thing, et cetera. We got, I think this year we got 22 or 3 submissions. From that, we submitted a candidate list of, I think it was, what was it, Joe, 9, 10? Wasn't a big number. 13, okay. And then the backgammon community, the backgammon electors, which are people of long time standing in the backgammon community, people who've got many years in the backgammon community. They know the players. They may not know every player, and they vote. And those that got in this year were 3 players, and we'll be inducting them shortly. So if you have somebody who didn't get in, whether they had a nominating form submitted this year or didn't have one submitted this year, either way, please consider submitting one. It's done online. You can start doing it probably in July or August this year. And we'll see. It is an exclusive group that we expect it to be. Neil's not sitting in his chair. I'm looking over there looking for him. He's definitely one that believes that, but so do I. Those that get in are people who are noted for their contribution to backgammon in the United States. Our mantra is a significant body of work over a sufficient period of time. And with that, I'm going to hand this back to Bill. That's how the process works, and then we'll induct our 3 inductees for this year.
Thank you, Patrick. Well, as all of y'all who've been to the previous 2 Hall of Fame inductions realize, I guess the first year Patrick and I did the honors. Last year, myself and Bob Stoller did the honors because Patrick was being inducted into the Hall of Fame. This year with 3, we thought we'd all 3 get into the process, so we're each going to introduce one new inductee to the Hall of Fame. The first inductee of 2017 American Backgammon Hall of Fame is someone that I've worked with fairly closely over the last few years as a member of the U.S. Backgammon Federation Board of Directors. I've known him for a long time as a player. He's a friend, and again, we've worked together quite a bit. Patrick, as he stated, one of our criteria is a significant body of work over an extended period of time. What I think is kind of interesting in this circumstance, this individual won the World Championship in 1989. And this past July, I had the privilege of being the match monitor for the final of the World Championship in 2016. 27 years later, this gentleman was in the final in Monte Carlo again. So over a period of 27 years, which is certainly an extended period of time, he's been at the top of the game. He is, and I'll take a phrase or two from the plaque that you see in your program. He's well recognized for his mathematical and strategic acumen as a player. He's also noted for his respectful, personable, low-key demeanor and his thoughtful, intelligent perspective in all endeavors. He's also demonstrated a particular interest in youth and collegiate activities and in the promotion and growth of the game. Multi-time member of the 32 Giants of Backgammon list, a founding member of the U.S. Backgammon Federation, been on the board of directors the entire length of the organization, 1989 world champion, 2016 world champion finalist, good friend of mine, Los Angeles, California, Joe Russell. Forgot his notes. Might set that here and then step over to X.
Okay. Well, I'm very, 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 very honored, and I never thought 40 years ago when I started playing backgammon that I'd ever be in a position like this. I have a very short, well, I'd like to say one thing before I get into my speech. Everybody say a prayer for Bob Glass, who was intending to be here and had a stroke the day before the tournament started. He's doing well, and everybody wish him a happy and fast recovery. Almost 40 years ago, as a young man, I learned to play backgammon. I immediately liked the looks of the board and the field, the checkers, and the dice. I took to the game because of its combination of skill, speed, and luck, and because it is first and foremost a social game. The fact that a raw beginner can defeat a world champion in a single game makes it one of the greatest social games ever. It is the social nature of the game that I now appreciate the most. The people I've met through backgammon, while very diverse, are for the most part highly intelligent, fiercely competitive, and very good sports. They are the kind of people I want to associate with. I've been blessed to have made so many interesting friends throughout the world because of this beautiful game. Most of my best friends I met through backgammon. Many of my most successful business dealings evolved through backgammon contacts. Some of the most dedicated and brilliant people I know I have served with on the board of directors of the USBGF. I am not sure what my life would have been like without backgammon, but I'm blessed that I will never have to find out. I thank backgammon for giving me you.
For our next introduction of 2017 inductee, Mr. Patrick Gibson.
And I don't ad-lib as well, Although if you start picking on me, I do, so be careful. I have notes. As I said a few minutes ago, our mantra for the American Backgammon Hall of Fame is a significant body of work over a substantial period of time in or for backgammon in the USA. Ray Vogelin is one of the most accomplished tournament players in modern backgammon history. Known as an intense competitor, he's also recognized for having a heart of gold beneath the occasionally rough exterior. I count, sometimes it's a big occasion, a short occasion, doesn't make a difference. As an accomplished writer and popular auctioneer, his quick wit and self-deprecating style is widely recognized and appreciated. His articles are eminently readable and entertaining. The American Backgammon Tour was created in 1993. That's also when Ray won his first championship-level event, the Nevada State. However, at that time, it wasn't an ABT event. But Ray's managed to overcome that by becoming the #2 all-time leader in ABT points. For 1 year, he actually was the leader until 2016 finished him off the back. He went back to second place. He's got 536 points, 7.5 points behind Neil Kazaros, and the third and fourth places down there, they have to double up to even get to 536 points. So we're talking about a monster leader. He's third place, the third place, that's a double up, missed that, okay. Ray is also #2 in victories on the tour, winning 11 championship divisions at ABT events. He's #1 in most points in a year. This year, Ed had an amazing year and he got 43 points, but he also won a bunch of Masters. Ray got 88.80 points in 1 year. And he's also #1 in garnering backgammon ABT points for 15 years in a row. He's been the ABT Player of the Year 4 times, in addition to 2 seconds, 1 third, and a third place finish in the final competitions. From 1993 to 2016, he's won 32 high-level events, 12 championships, 16 Masters, including 2 Grand Crystal Beavers, 2 European doubles, and a Nations Cup. Of course, the doubles in the Cup were also done with partners. He's been voted to the 32 Giants of Backgammon 5 times consecutively, 2007, 9, 11, 13, and 15. He's currently number 23. But I think the part that I enjoy most about seeing Ray or listening to Ray or reading about Ray is the reading. He has a solid track record as a backgammon journalist, spanning 24 years starting in 1993. He penned 47 articles for Carol Cole's Flint Area Backgammon News. The first 10 were called Common Sense Backgammon Tournament Secrets. Another couple of titles, just to give you an idea: Bozo Trims the Hedges in Las Vegas. X22 meets 222. That's his birthday. Hurricane John, Mr. Vitor, pounds Pittsburgh. And European doubles are us. He also contributed 8 articles over the most recent 3 years to Primetime Magazine, our USBGF magazine. His report, I recently reread it again, A Tip of the 10-Gallon Hat to Mochi. Entertaining match with Mochi. And he introduced to us his famous now quote, and I'm quoting, "The Dildonian defense play." Still quoting, "Leaving blots on all of my inner board points while hitting Mochi loose." So all 6 points have a single blot on it. Mochi immediately rolled double ones and looked at it for a moment or two and then picked up 4 blots. And then Ray, of course, thinking that this is reward given, immediately rejected it by rolling double 2s, which he had the ace-deuce back game, but all of in there did not help his timing. On the way with his backgammon writing career, Ray also contributed to Gammon Village, Chicago Point, and several other things. He co-authored with Bart Brooks the instructional booklet, Backgammon Match Dilemmas, The Free Drop. His humor is also outed, in case you didn't know he had a sense of humor, in many appearances as the auctioneer at Calcutta's, at trophy presentations, at his seminars. Here's a picture of Ray presenting the Sultan of Second Place to Carter Mattig. Carter he wore his turban towel. Carter had a year or year and a half of a lot of second places, and Ray said, I can finally give up the Sultan of Second Place and award it to somebody else. All right. In addition, he did a seminar about a match between Malcolm Davis and himself, and he showed up to the seminar dressed as the Joker. And I have a picture of the Dilding and Defense play here, too. Ray backs up his ideas with energy and commitment. He personally championed the resurgence of rating tournament matches by collecting brackets and pictures during the year 2009, such that the USBGF took hold and began the ratings. We're processing all the ABT events. We've now included everything from 2009 through 2017 to date. Thank you, Ray, for creating all this work for me and my ratings team. We got that. So you bestowed it on me. Based on his exceptional, sustained record of achievement as a competitor, combined with his multiple decades of additional efforts on behalf of backgammon in the United States, the Hall of Fame Committee and the Hall of Fame Electors held Ray Vogelin up to the examination of the Hall of Fame mantra. He was not found wanting, and will now be inducted into the 2017 class of American Backgammon Hall of Fame. One of us doesn't have a towel up here, something's wrong.
Okay, it'll take a minute. You know, I like getting awards, but I hate award ceremonies. Because I always do this. I would like to blame that on Pat. But that was fun. And actually, got to give credit where credit's due, and that's to my mother. She was a Polish lady, and she was all emotion and feelings and love. Her maiden name was Pulaski, believe it or not. And my dad was kind of a genius, and he was German and Swedish. And he had a lot of common sense. They didn't get along all that well, but I guess opposites attracted in the first place. And I was the result, or one of them. Anyway, sad to say, I'm not a genius, but glad to say I'm a little smarter than I look. And at backgammon, as that relates to backgammon, I sometimes feel like I'm playing like a genius over the board, but a lot of times on analysis, I find out that I played more like a dumb Polak. And I might be the worst player inducted into the Hall of Fame, but that's better than being the best player that didn't get in. And I want to thank Pat for bringing up the fact that I actually passed Neil Kazaros at the end of 2015. But Neil likes to be on the top of the list, so the first tournament in 2016, he just cashed and passed me back up. If anybody was paying attention to those standings that I was number 4, you could find out that I won less than half of my matches last year. It's like the worst year ever. So anyway, Neil was a really great player. I got to, when you get in the Hall of Fame, I guess that means that your 15 minutes of fame start, and I guess I'm pretty sure nobody wants me to be up here for 15 minutes. My towel's getting wet. All right, so I'm going to thank a few people, and then I'll get out of the way because there's somebody else that needs to, spend his time. And I'm glad to see that, a couple other people got emotional because it's just a fact of my life. I need to thank the fire service for giving me an opportunity. I spent 27 years working in the fire department. And I carefully avoided the busy stations so I could sleep at night. Norm Wiggins was a firefighter, and he liked the busy stations. But anyway, the fire department's schedule, you can trade with other guys, so I could go to more tournaments. And when I retired, I sort of took inventory of the situation. That was probably 7 years ago to the day. And I looked, and I was behind Neil by 100 ABT points. And this was at a time when maybe there was 10 to 15 people who had 108 ABT points. At this point, I guess we should probably thank Bill Davis for bringing us the American Backgammon Tour. And, I really didn't think it was going to be possible to catch Neil because he's still playing and he's awful good. But in 2011, I had a pretty good year and I made up 40 points, even though he came in third. And so I started to think maybe it was doable, and I didn't have anything better to do. I don't have a family. I didn't have a job anymore. I don't have much of a life. I mean, you can't really have kids and do, or a career and do all this stuff. So anyway, I figured I might as well go to all the tournaments, and I started doing that. And when I passed up Neil, it was like the last tournament in 2015, and I passed him by half a point. Anyway, the rest is history. He passed me back up, and that's how it ought to be. He's the best player, but it might not be how it stays because I'm more determined. So, all right. Next person I want to thank is Carol Joy Cole, the Wicked. The Wicked Witch of Michigan. Now, she doesn't ride a broom. She floats on a bubble. On a bubble, yeah. Carlotta. Dang it. Anyway, she gave me permission to write in her newsletter. And it turns out, I kind of like telling stories. It turns out I'm better at writing them than I am at telling them. And some people have kind of liked some of the stuff I did. Specifically, one thing Pat didn't mention, I wrote Ray's Rules, which was kind of like my 10 Commandments for backgammon, like I knew back in 1996 or something. And people like that, even though a lot of the stuff I wrote was wrong, and still is. I need to do a Ray's Rules revised at some point. But, it's not very profitable when only 14 people buy it. But there was a Danish guy who liked them, and he asked permission to translate that and take it over to Denmark. So we gave him permission, and some of those Danish players became pretty good. So I don't know, maybe I'm a better teacher than I am a player, I don't know. Denmark has the audacity to take on the world every year. Now, I don't know who picks the world team, but evidently they don't have my phone number. Because I never get to go. But, hey, it's okay, you guys. I know I've only been a Giant for 10 years, but I did make the Hall of Fame. So anyway, Mochi, 661-303-9278. Yeah, I'm going to go to, did I mention the Cherry Blossom Classic? I have a spot in that, and it costs $3,000, but somebody who really wants to play might get it for $3,500. All right. Obviously, got to thank the USBGF for having a Hall of Fame. The USBGF has had some growing pains in the first decade or whatever it is, 7 years it's been and it's kind of a big ship. Takes a lot of people, to turn it, to change the direction. And I got off for about a year because I didn't like the direction it was going. And then Karen Davis got involved and fixed it, righted the ship. And Bill Riles was installed as the third president. And I think, just my humble opinion, that he's the best one. But then again, the first one's in jail. Anyway, I don't know exactly why Bill stepped down, but rumor has it that he's getting a spot in Donald Trump's cabinet. I don't know, he might be too conservative. I'm sure a lot of you have enjoyed Bill's political rantings on. All right, I'm almost done, so I want to talk about the Hall of Fame process. You can't get up here unless somebody nominates you. You can't, declare that you're a candidate. But, and I would like to thank whoever nominated me, or else this might not have been possible. But they don't tell you, you know. And I happen to know that one person who did, and there's been 3 ballots now, and I was on all of them. And if I was voting, I'm not sure I would have voted for me, because I don't play so good. But, and everybody knows it, but I realized that it doesn't matter if I would have voted for me. It matters if you would. Yeah. Well, one guy I talked to, I know that nominated me is Bob Stoller. He's a historian, and that's kind of cool. And I knew that because he interviewed me and made me remember all the crap that I did. That might, be worthy. But I would kind of like to meet anybody else who nominated me so I can, buy a dinner or do something. Anyway, and I promise not to tell anybody. We'll keep it our secret, because we all know that there's some people who didn't want me to be up here. So I like to take this moment of triumph to thumb my nose at them officially. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ray. I guess. If he's not, he ought to be. We have one more inductee this year, and to do the introductory honors, we have USBGF historian, Mr. Robert Stoller.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you very much to Ray, but I need to share some credit. Can you all hear me now? Is this a little bit better? I need to share. First, thank you very much, Ray, for that acknowledgement. But I have another acknowledgement on your behalf, and that is Paul Berg. I engaged Paul to do research and track down every single article that you had written for the Flint Area Backgammon News. And that was part of the list of your substantial body of work over a significant period of time. And that was part of what I put in the form for you. So, you all know me as historian of the U.S. Backgammon Federation, and I think you know that I like to do show and tell. And I really like to acknowledge other Hall of Fame people. We have some photographs here from the World Cup. These are courtesy of Kent Goulding. Now, you may remember when KG was inducted into the Hall of Fame, he mentioned in his acceptance speech, and also in the interview that I got the privilege to do with him later, that during the era of the World Cup, they had blow-up pictures taken of the champions. So Texas was a major venue for World Cup events. The original World Cups were done in Cambridge, Massachusetts, but the World Cup moved to Texas, and the last 4 of them, of the 6, were held here in Texas. And here is Mike Svobodny, World Cup champion 1992, and the picture of Mike, which originally appeared in Inside Backgammon, which I have here as one of my show and tells. I'll get to that in a bit. And here is Malcolm Davis, World Cup champion 1996. These pictures were part of the trappings of the World Cup events, which were held at Harvey Huey's hotels. If I remember correctly, it was the Bristol Suites for 92 and the Addison for 96. But these blow-ups that you see here, these are courtesy of our Hall of Fame inductee, KG, Kent Goulding. So I wanted to acknowledge that. So, now some of you know that I am the co-founder of the Backgammon Club in Anchorage, Alaska. And when I was given the honor, when I was told I was going to be given the honor of this presentation, I started doing some research. And to my utter amazement, there is an Alaska connection with Mike Svobodny. Mike's brother Rick served the state of Alaska Department of Law for 37 years. He retired a few years ago. During the administration of Sarah Palin, Rick Svobodny was very briefly the acting Attorney General of Alaska, in which capacity he was my boss. And all of us Assistant Attorneys General, our ticket says we serve at the pleasure of the Attorney General. I hadn't realized what peril I was in, but Rick Svobodny could have fired me at any time for good reason, bad reason, or no reason at all. All right, now, some research that I did on the Giants list. Mike was in the top 32 of the first 7 Giants lists. 1993, he was number 5. 1995, he was number 7. 1997, he got up to number 4. That was his high point. 1999, 9th place. 2001, 12th place. 2003, 19th. 2005, 24th. And 2007, he's out of the top 32, he's 36. But I think what this represents is his moving into more private games. Mike has a major profile, a full chapter-length profile in this wonderful book, Gambling Wizards, Conversations with the World's Greatest Gamblers by Richard W. Munchkin. Now, I'm not sure if that's a nom de plume. I am given to understand Richard Munchkin is Jake Jacobs' brother. And there is a passage which I'm going to get to in here in a little bit. Of the World Cup, so back to KG and Bill Roberti, who was the co-runner of the World Cup during the year. There were 6 of them spanning the decade 1988 to 1998. So the first winner was Joe Sylvester in '88, then Billy Horan, then Mike Svobodny in 1992. I think that Mike's victory was the greatest of the events, which I'm going to get to in a bit. Billy Horan won for the second time, the only person to have won the World Cup twice. And then Malcolm Davis in 1996, and the last World Cup winner was Howard Ring in 1998. Mr. Ring died at an amazingly young age, way prematurely, I believe 46, possibly only 45. Now, in the history of the World Cups, these events were done every 2 years. It was Bill Roberti's and Kent Goulding's idea to have a very, very special event that was not an annual, but every 2 years to build it up. And in only one of those World Cups did 2 former world champions meet. Mike had won the World Championship in 1984, and the finalist that he faced was Hal Heinrich of Canada, who had won the World Championship in 1990. Now, the original World Cup was a 41-point final that Joe Sylvester won, and it took forever to do that. And Bill and Kent reformatted, and by the time it got to Mike's event, it was the best 3 out of 5 11-point matches. They started at 2 in the afternoon, and the last game was at double match point in the 5th match, starting at 1:30 in the morning. It was unquestionably the most tightly contested, energetically contested World Cup of the whole series. Now, for those of you who are fellow collectors and want to play out the last game, it is anthologized here in Inside Backgammon. This is volume 2, number 5, September, October 1992. And Kent's commentary is summarized, and I was thinking about doing a dramatic reading of it, and then I decided not to, but for those of you who can dig this out, you really owe it to yourself to read Kent's incredibly voluble commentary on the last game. Now, Mike Svobodny has also contributed to the literature of backgammon. His good friend and fellow competitor, Paul McGreal, Hall of Fame inductee in our first class, and Mike played a very, very interesting game that came to be anthologized in the Masters panel. This is Inside Backgammon, Volume 3, Number 4, July, August 1993. And let me tell you who commented on this game. It was played in the 1988 World Cup Consolation, done in Cambridge, Massachusetts. This is X22, Paul McGreal and Mike Svobodny. It was game number 16. And the Masters panel commenting on this, see if you recognize a few names. Paul McGreal, X22 himself, making his first appearance in these pages, as I'm quoting from the text. Bill Roberti, Inside Backgammon editor. Kent Goulding, Inside Backgammon editor. Kit Woolsey, quote, top player and one of Inside Backgammon's most popular columnists, whose new book, How to Win at Tournament Backgammon, has just been published by the Gammon Press. David Montgomery was a reader. He was the winner of the Quiz of the Month contest. Neil Kazaros, recognize a few of these names? And finally, T.D. Gammon, which was at the time the strongest neural net computer program. Now, I don't think that Paul McGreal has lost too many 8 cubes in serious tournament play, but in this game, Paul McGreal loses an 8 cube. Now, you may not be a collector and you may not have Inside Backgammon going back that far, but that very game is anthologized in Bill Roberti's great book, this is for intermediates, Backgammon for Serious Players. And what Bill did was he summarized the best of the commentary from that Masters panel, and it is game number 3, I believe, in this anthology. I strongly recommend that you read that game over because it is fabulous. Now, Gambling Wizards, Conversations with the World's Greatest Gamblers. There is a full chapter here, a long-form interview with Mike. I'm not going to go into great detail on it, but I want to point out that Mike had a passage here that I thought was remarkable for its candor and humility and insight. This is page 114, quote, "You don't produce anything when you gamble." This is Mike talking. "A garbage man provides a lot more to society than I do. I'm skimming off the fat of society," end quote. Now, backgammon is a great game. It is a fabulous game. It is a game of great depth and subtlety, but it is not the same as contributing to society, and we shouldn't lose sight of that fact. Okay, one last thing, a significant body of work over a substantial period of time. Mike is renowned for having done a few propositions outside of backgammon. And he is renowned for a bet known popularly as the man with the $100,000 breasts. I'm not going to go into that, but I believe he also was a sponsor of a wager involving 2 of our great players, Falafel and Matt Cohn-Geyer. And I'm going to let him talk more about that, but I think we could say that Mike Svobodny did more to change the body of American backgammon, at least recently, than anybody else I know. And with that, I'm going to invite Mike Svobodny to accept his Hall of Fame award.
Thank you very much for that nice. Okay. I'm not going to start crying because I'm happy. Thank you very much for that. I spoke to my brother just before he gave this speech, and I made sure you spruced it up quite a bit. Backgammon, first and foremost, has been a very, very big part of my life and extremely fun. Fun and interesting. I've been to 60 countries, and every time I go to a new country, even if there's a little backgammon cafe, a little tournament, I like to stop in and I like to say hello to the tournament directors. And the tournament directors, sort of the backbone of backgammon around the world. And I'd like to thank all the tournament directors around the world, not just the ones here, but the ones in Istanbul, the one in Marrakesh, all these different places. And they're sort of the unsung heroes because without that to promote the game, we wouldn't have the game. And so I'd like to thank those people. The thing about the $100,000 breast and the falafel bet and stuff like that, sometimes I'm a good gambler, sometimes I'm a bad gambler. When I did the bet with Brian Zembeck, who's a very good magician, when I lost, a good friend of mine called up and says, "You bet Brian $100,000 to put breast on?" My friend was Chip Reese, by the way, when he said that. And I said, "Yeah, I did." He goes, "Well, how much did you lose?" I said, $100,000. He goes, "Well, then I guess that was worth it." And it kind of was, because Brian is a very, very funny, extremely funny guy. And if he was here, he'd show you his boobs. And it would be for free. I'd like to thank all my friends that I've met throughout backgammon, all throughout the world, not just here. The most interesting people that I've ever met are backgammon players. I'm a games player, I play other games as well, but backgammon players, to me, are the most honest, the most interesting, and the most varied people in the world. And I just like to thank all of you. And I didn't even know a lot of the stuff you told me. I didn't even know a lot of the things that you had said. I'd like to read those.
Oh, Mike, we need to get a close-up of you with the certificate.
And by the way, I dress like this because if I didn't, nobody would recognize me.
Yeah, let me get out of the way. Oh, okay. Which side do you want me on? Right there's fine. Okay. Perfectly good. While I'm doing acknowledgments, I also want to acknowledge Robert Amador from San Antonio. He has been our videographer for the past 3 years, and for those of you who've gone to the website, it's his work that you've seen. So, back to Bill Riles.
Hey, it's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it, all right? Okay. We're going to break with tradition just a second. And, we have all kinds of people in backgammon. And so we thought, before we have some closing remarks in a few minutes by myself, and Steve Hammond wants to make a remark, Layla Zylot-Sky is going to give us a little bit of entertainment before we do. So Layla, step forward. Julius.
Now, Bill told me that I should include as many of you as possible. Some names I knew, others I didn't. So I just started writing this song today, and here we are. I am going to cheat a little bit. So instead of shaking my bottom, I'm going to look at my lyrics, okay? So pretend I'm dancing, please. All right. So don't look, I am not dancing, I'm just gonna do my lyrics because hopefully they'll give you a kick. Bill Riles came back to see me play because he couldn't get away. His charming smiles and my Russian songs. But wait a minute, something's wrong. Somebody else shake it. Hey Mambo, Mambo San Antoniano, hey Mambo, Mambo Texicano, go Neil, you mixed up Chicagiano, oh you guys amazing, play backgammon like a crazy, and hey Mambo, don't want to lose a gammon, hey Mambo, even worse if it's backgammon, hey Mambo, Mambo San Antoniano, try to win from Mochizuki, he is not an easy cookie. Hey, you Ray, I love to see you sway my way. But take some advice, amigo, take up the bingo. If you're gonna be a square, you're never gonna go nowhere. Hey, Mambo, Mambo Texaniano, hey, Mambo, Mambo San Antoniano, go, Jim. Shake it like Las Vegiano, try to beat a Kiko in the back game, go, Chico. Mambo Italiano. Now I'm supposed to shake it. Shake it, Svobo, shake it, because I love it when you take it. Rory and kids, you don't have to take defeat. Just make Arkady shake dice hard, like in Nevada. Julius good looking, but his girlfriend knows what's cooking when he shakes. Shake, shake, shake it, Patrick, shake it, cause I love it when you take me with Reach by Pizzeria, Necklace 33 and Bia. Don't you tell Wartello, he will sure ring the bell. There's nothing to it, come on Malcolm, let's do it. Hey, Mambo, Mambo San Antoniano, hey, Mambo, Mambo, Texicano, Karen and Tara. Make it hot like it's Sahara. They are so delicious. Everybody gonna appreciate it. Hall of Fame, San Antoniano. Thank you, guys. Those of you I didn't get, I'll get you next time.
Thank you. Okay, real quickly, because we're way behind schedule, and there's probably a bunch of people in the playing room ready to skin me for not having some brackets up. But before I close, Steve Hammond wanted to say a brief word, and I want to afford him that opportunity.
Thank you. Some of y'all know me, and I'm really honored to be in this group of people tonight because there are some geniuses out here, and I've heard all the accolades for the Hall of Famers, and we're in the midst of a lot of world champions here and some great players, and there's a group of people that have not been mentioned tonight that without them, all you champions would be nothing. And I represent this group here tonight. And it is the losers. Thank you. Because without us, without that low-hanging fruit, y'all would be nothing. So, but thank you for letting me be here, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you very much.
I didn't know what he was going to say when he asked for a moment, but I like that. That's good. Again, I'd like to thank everyone for being part of this special occasion. It's great for the game. I think it's great that we recognize people like Norm Wiggins and Louise Goldsmith, and certainly our new Hall of Fame inductees, Joe Russell and Ray Vogelin and Mike Sabodny. So I hope y'all all enjoyed yourselves. We thank you for coming. Now let's go play backgammon.